My name is Amanda, and I'm from a company called Wildlife Tree. And what we do at Wildlife Tree is something that's pretty cool. If you guys haven't heard of us before, we actually take in exotic animals. So we rescue exotic animals and exotic pets that either don't have homes, or maybe someone doesn't want to take care of them anymore, or maybe they find them running wild in Florida, which we've had a few come in that way. And what we do is we take them in and we spoil them rotten, and we get them really used to seeing lots and lots of different people and lots of kids. And what we do then is we take them out to shows. So we'll do programs like this at Cracker Creek. We'll also do school programs, library programs, and even birthday parties sometimes. And we'll actually bring out some really cool animals and teach you guys all about where they're from and about nature and all sorts of stuff like that. So today we have, I have 3 different critters for you today. And these guys are all reptiles. Now, can you guys tell me what a reptile is? Does anyone know?
A cold-blooded animal.
That's right, they're cold-blooded. Cold-blooded?
They have scales.
They do. Most of them have scales. Any other things about reptiles? No? All right, well, we're going to go ahead and get started, and you might learn a few more things about reptiles today. Now, our first one coming out, she's long and skinny. And if you guys are scared of snakes, you don't have to pet her, but I will say she's one of the friendliest snakes you'll ever meet. And her name is Buckles. And Buckles is our African ball python.
I'm touching it.
All right, now I am going to come around, and you guys are more than welcome to pet her if you want. Obviously, we're just going to stay away from her face. Even though she has never attempted to bite anyone, anything with a mouth does have the potential to bite. But snakes actually feel really cool. A lot of people think they're going to feel slimy and gross, but they're actually very smooth.
I don't want to touch it. I own a snake.
Feels pretty cool, right? Now these guys are actually all the way from Africa. So she's a long way from home. These guys are very common in the pet trade, or very commonly kept as pets.
I wouldn't like to touch it.
You don't want to touch it? All right, well, we'll go around the back here.
Okay, but if you're screaming, you're going to frighten Buckles.
Yeah, we want to stay a little bit quiet.
How old is she?
We don't know for sure. She actually came to us as a rescue from the state. Someone didn't want to take care of her anymore.
Like she may be a happy Buckles.
Oh, she's pretty chunky.
Yeah.
She hasn't eaten recently. She's going to be eating soon.
That feels good.
Now, what do you guys think these snakes eat?
I thought you was about
Do you think they like to eat fruit? No. Do you think they like to eat broccoli?
No.
What about maybe some nice rats?
Yes.
Yes, that's her favorite food. These guys are carnivores, meaning they only eat meat. And she actually only eats different kinds of rats and mice and small mammals. So out in the wild, she's going to find rats. In captivity, she eats about a medium-sized rat, which is pretty big.
It's so smooth.
Now, do you guys see how tiny her little head is?
Yeah.
Do you think that means she can only eat really tiny things?
No.
No, that's right. She actually has a really cool special animal power is what we'll call it. She can actually eat something up to the largest size of her body. So this big fat part right in the middle here, she can actually eat something that big. So what she does is she actually has special jaws that when she goes to eat her prey, she can actually unhinge them or unhook them out of their sockets so that she can stretch her mouth out about 3 or 4 times the size of that. So she's got a really stretchy mouth so she can eat things. Now, a lot of people ask us if she's venomous. She is non-venomous. What these guys are, they're constrictors. So they like to give their prey a really big, tight hug, and then they eat them whole. Can I let her slither?
No.
Well, I don't know about on the ground. She might move a little bit fast when she gets warmed up. She likes the outdoors. Now, you see her sticking her tongue out?
Yeah.
What do you think she's doing?
Like she smells the air.
That's right. She's smelling right now. She's not normally outside. She has a big cage indoors. And so when she comes outside, she's very curious, and she likes to smell out and see what's going on. Another really cool animal power that these guys have is that they actually have pores. You can kind of see it looks like she has a bunch of holes on her upper lip. You see those?
Yeah.
They kind of look like holes. It's a little bit weird, right? It kind of looks like she has a bunch of noses. But actually what that is those are heat-sensing pores. So this snake actually has heat vision, which is pretty cool because when these guys hunt, which is mostly at night, They can't really see very well with their eyes, so what they rely on is they rely on that tongue, that sense of smell that they have, and they rely on those heat-sensing pores to find their food. So when they're sniffing their little rat out, they're going to follow the scent trail, and then they're going to be able to see the rat because rats are warm-blooded animals. It's going to appear kind of like you see heat vision, so it'll be kind of a bigger, brighter color so that they know that that's where the rat is. You have a question?
Does she eat human by piece by piece?
No, she would not eat human. That is not her food of choice. Now this snake, you can see how big she is now. She's not going to get much bigger than this. Ball pythons are actually one of the smallest species of pythons. The females, or this is a girl, she can get a little bit bigger than the males. And so she's about 3.5 feet long now, and she can get up to 4.5 to 5 feet long.
Does she bite humans?
Does she bite humans? She's never tried to bite humans. This kind of snake, ball pythons, when they're brought up in captivity or they're brought up with people, they very rarely bite. She's never tried to bite us.
That's right, you're
We do have some other snakes at Wildlife Tree, we didn't bring them today, that are a little bit more aggressive. How much of this snake do you think is its tail? Do you think it starts right behind the snake's head? Do you think it starts about halfway down its body?
Yeah.
How many of you think it's just this tiny, tiny little bit at the very end?
No.
Because that is actually just her tail right there. If I can unravel her real quick, you can actually see.
Oh my God.
Where are you going?
Where is she going?
Come back. You can see? You can see this tiny little bit of tail right here, that little bit? That's her tail. Everything else is actually backbone, so our spine and ribs. So that's pretty crazy, isn't it?
I don't think we're allowed to touch her belly.
You can't. How long is her stomach? You know, that's a little bit of a hard question to answer because the way the snake's organs are in their body are a lot different than ours.
The head. Can you move her head?
Yeah.
Where's
Her belly feels really weird. It's very smooth, and you can see her scales on her belly are really long. Isn't that neat? And this guy is actually all the way from an island off the coast of Australia. This is Eddie, and Eddie is our crested gecko. Now, crested geckos, they actually have a really cool history. These guys were actually thought to be extinct. So do you guys know what extinct means?
There's no more.
There's no more of them. So for a long time, over 50 years, these guys were thought to not exist anymore. And then some explorers who were looking on the island off the coast of Australia, it's called New Caledonia, they actually found a bunch of them out there. And what happened is that some of the explorers brought some of them back over, of course, and they are now one of the most popular geckos in the pet trade. Or meaning they're commonly kept as pets because they're actually relatively easy to care for. Although I will say with any exotic animals, you do want to do your research before you get one of these guys because these guys can live anywhere between 12 and 15 years. So it's a long time to commit to. You have a question about Eddie?
What happened to his eye?
What happened to his eye? You guys can kind of see, I'll walk him around so you guys can get a good look at him. You see how one eye is really, really big and one eye is kind of tiny?
Yeah.
Well, we actually got him in from someone who had him as a baby, and what we think happened is that he accidentally either dropped him or maybe he poked his eye on something. And so this tiny eye right here, that's actually his injured eye. The big eye on this side, which you kind of think might look weird, that's actually his normal eye.
Those are his ears, the holes.
Those are his ears. And so even though he doesn't really see very well out of that eye, he doesn't really seem to have any problems catching bugs.
Do they make good pets?
They can make pretty good pets. Some of them are a little bit spazzy. We're going to take one finger and go down his back. Be very gentle because he is very tiny. These guys actually feel really cool because they're not scaly like a snake. They almost feel like a velvet or a suede. They're very, very soft. Now these guys, as I come around, you can kind of see those the things that look like eyelashes over his eyes. These guys are also called eyelash geckos. Now, even though it looks like they have eyelashes, they don't. And another thing that they don't have that we have are eyelids. So you know, things that make us so we can blink?
They actually lick them.
Yeah, that's right. Geckos can't blink, so what they do is they use their long, sticky tongue to clean off their eyeball. This is going to be our red-footed tortoise, and his name is Ember. Now I will warn you ahead of time, he does like to poop during absolutely every single show, so I'm going to try and hold him away from you guys so you guys can touch his shell, but just be warned, you may be in the splash zone.
Yeah. Even if he
Yeah, you just don't want to touch his head. You can touch his shell, and you can touch some of his legs, even though he might tuck them up a little bit.
White splash.
He just doesn't like it. Would you like it if someone came up and tried to touch your face? No? Yeah, they like a little bit of personal space. So these guys are actually pretty unique species of tortoise. Most tortoises you think come from the desert, right? So they like dry climates, they like to be out in the sand and in the hot. These guys are actually rainforest tortoises. So these guys are from all the way from South America. And see a snapping turtle? No, these guys are tortoises, so they like to live on land. Snapping turtles like to live in the water. One of the main differences between turtles and tortoises that you can tell is actually by their feet. Because most turtles like to live in the water, and so they'll actually have webbed feet. Whereas tortoises, they have almost like little elephant feet, right? And so that just means they're built to walk on land. And these guys, even though they're really, really slow, they like to move around a lot. We actually have a big outdoor enclosure that he goes in, and he will just run around it all day.